come on. It's just so flat and gutless. There is something seriously wrong with this car. Hi guys, Lee here, welcome back to the channel. You join me today as we have a look at another one of my purchases. This time it's a 2014 Hyundai i20 active model 1.2 petrol, which I bought for £450. Yes, £450. That does sound rather cheap. What is wrong with this car? Well, what's wrong with it? It actually had no clutch. So I bought this off a trader friend of mine. He actually approached me and said, I've got this Hyundai in, it's a non-runner, it's 450 quid, if you want it, got no clutch, I'll drop it off to you. I thought, yeah, 14 plate, it's got 120,000 miles on it, fair enough, but even at a 14 plate, it still sounds rather cheap, and a clutch for this is not particularly difficult to do. So we got it sent over to the workshop, and the first thing we did before we did anything was get the clutch sorted, because there's no point doing a walk round on it, can't test drive it, it's a bit pointless if the car doesn't physically move. So the first thing we did, like we said, was get it on the workshop ramps and get a new clutch in it, which we did a few weeks ago. Now it's been laying around the back waiting for me to do a video on it, to go have a quick walk round and assess what we're going to do next with the car. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to have a look round it, we're going to go test drive it and see what we've bought. So let's go and have a look round it and see what we've purchased. Right, and here it is, now running and driving the Hyundai i20. So like I said, the clutch is in now, it's all back together, we now can physically drive it. We've been out on sort of the first run, we'll go have a test drive in a sec, but let's have a quick look round it and see what we're up against and what else we need to do to this little Hyundai. Straight off the back we can see we've got a little bit of scuff damage here on the corner of the near side front, so we'll bear that in mind. Bonnet's not too bad on the front end really for a car. It has done 120,000 miles, 122,000 miles, so it is a bit up on the miles for a 14 plate, but that's why it was cheap. Again, a little bit down the bottom there, may need to be addressed. Wheels are a little bit scuffy, they're not the greatest to be fair, but you know, it has done 120k, so you are going to get knocked about wheels. We'll see where we go with them. They're probably the least of my priorities, to be honest. I've got to try and more focus on the paint, to be fair. A few little marks on this side, but they're all buff out. They're just little scuff marks. A good buff up will see this side right, so not too much to worry about on the driver's side. Again, a few little marks on the wheel, you know, not too bad. Tyres are actually quite good actually on this. It's got Yokohamas on it this side. I mean, that's got like 6mm tread on it, that Yokohama. Again, on the back here, another one, a good 6-7mm. Yokohama tyres, I mean, some of the best tyres you can buy, so it's not been cheapskated, this car, on any level. Now this is where things sort of go down a little bit on the back. As you can see here, we've got a few marks on the bumper, not major concerned about a few of them, to be honest with you. You know, you've got to expect some marks on a car of this age with missed mileage, but the tailgate is a mess, and particularly as well with the roof. We'll go on the tailgate first. You can see here, absolutely gone underneath the seam of the window. It seems to be a really common problem on these Hyundai i20s, particularly the white ones. I don't know what it is, I've seen a ruck of white ones where just the paint just seems to fall apart on them on the back window. I mean, it's a design fault or something like that, I'm not sure. Maybe the paint they've been using or the undercoat, they all just seem to go here. So we're going to need to address that really. I mean, to be honest, we're trying to find a tailgate in this colour is going to be quite difficult, but we'll have to try our best to find one. Also as well, you can tell from the roof, the frost. Get this out of the way, we've also got a mark on the roof here as well, and that's a problem. We're going to need to get this addressed. Look, probably having the roof painted. I mean, we're going to get the tailgate off, hopefully try and find a tailgate in colour would be nice, so we don't need to really paint it. That would be the better option, and then get the roof painted, just obviously to get rid of that horrible peeling on the roof, which is right down to the metal. It's actually starting to rust through. That's not great. So that's really the bones of it really. We need to be dealing with the paint on the back of this car. Like I said, if we can get a tailgate, that would be brilliant, but like I said, in my experience of these, when I've seen them in white, they all seem to be this similar condition, so hopefully we can just try and find one, and that will save us a bit of money, because trying to paint this, I mean, yeah, you could paint this, but you've got to take the window out, and it's a bonded windscreen. You've got to pay someone to get it out, because if I take it out, I'll break it, then you've got to get put back in. It just costs a fortune to do, and I don't think you're really going to be able to paint this properly with that window in place, because it's still rotten underneath there. So really the best option is to try and find a decent tailgate, so that's what we'll try and do. We've got a few little marks on the bumper there. Maybe, to be honest, we'll probably just end up touching them in, just pencil them in, to be honest, and just buff it up, because I don't want to go too mad with the paint. The main thing to address is that rear end. Moving on to this side, we've got a few little marks down here, but I think we can probably buff and touch them up. Again, this side a little bit worse than the opposite side, but it's not horrendous. I mean, it's just mostly scuffs. There is a slight indentation there, but you know, you're not really going to address that on a car of this age. It's expected, really. But we've got no major dings or anything like that, no rust spots. You know, it's a fair car, and we bought it at a fair price. So this side tyres, not got any Yokohama on this side, unfortunately. We've got Riken on this side on the back. That's got about 7 or 8 mil on it. It's almost new. Maybe somebody's had a puncture or something. We have got a Yokohama on this side. Driver's side, about 5 mil. So it's had 3 Yokohamas on it. Probably had a puncture or something on the back. And then had a Riken stick on it, which is a budget tyre, but not a bad one. It's a shame we haven't got that 4th Yokohama. That would have been a nice touch. But anyway, not to worry. So it's not a bad old thing, really. I mean, it's just the back of the car we've got to address, really, and this corner definitely. That's going to want touching in because that looks pretty bad. Okay, we've got 2 keys with it. Spare one's back in the unit. Central locking works, which is good. Now inside, guys, it is, like I said, really mouldy. Nothing a good valet won't sort out, obviously. That's not the least of our concerns, valeting a car, but it's been left for a while the clutch has been done, so obviously it's going to get a bit of mould on it. But if we get inside her, plastic wise and trim, yeah, we've got a little bit of wear on the steering wheel, but you know, it's 120,000, you're going to see that. A little bit on the gear stick, but overall, generally, switches, the interior itself, radio, stuff like that, plastics are all good. They're not fallen to pieces, not been chewed up by a dog or out like that. Stereo system's working, all tuned in, which is great. We've got air condition. We have got aircon on it. It's got Bluetooth, USB aux ports, all the little bits you want on a car. 14 plate. They've all been added on. Fuel wise, look at that. Just under half a tank. Well, quarter of a tank, I'd say. Just over quarter of a tank. Sorry. So that's good because we're going to be taking this to a few places over the next few weeks, paint shopping and all that. So that'll be handy. Save you putting some petrol in it. Mileage, we're on 122,905, so about to hit 123. So you know, that's why the car was cheap. Service history wise, we have got quite a bit of this. Service history is back in the office. I haven't got it here with me at the moment. It's buried away, but I will dig it out. But it's not full history, but it has got some decent history with it. Like I said, you can tell it's had a few bits on it, you know, with say the tyres and that. Someone has been spending money on it along the ways. Probably had enough when the clutch went and thought, you know, let's just throw it in and get rid of it. But their loss is our gain, I suppose. Right, let's start her up. Now, starts up really well. No issues with it starting. However, we have got an engine management light on. Now, when we first got this car in, obviously it started up fine, just didn't drive because there was no clutch. But the engine management light was on at that time. Now, I scanned it originally and it was coming up with a ruck of different codes, and one of them was crankshaft sensor and a few other issues as well. But we obviously we just left that for the moment. We thought, right, we'll take the clutch in first and worry about that later. Now, when we were taking the clutch out, we did actually find the crankshaft sensor, which is bolted through the gearbox, actually was broken. It had all chewed up, probably because the clutch had fell to pieces and it just sort of basically mangled it all up. Yeah, we thought that might solve the issue. But we put a new one in it, started it up, and it did go out temporarily, probably because the battery'd been off, but then it came back on. So we need to scan this again now, because I'm not expecting the crankshaft sensor fault to be there, but there's probably other codes as well, so we might need to address it. Now, luck would have it, we've got the perfect tool to do that. So a few weeks ago, I was contacted by a company called TOPDON. They make lots of diagnostic machines, battery testers and chargers, etc. And they asked me to basically review or check out one of their machines. This is the ARTI i20. Now, I was a little bit sceptical, if I'm honest with you, about this, to be fair, so I asked them to send me one. And I've been using it the last couple of weeks, and actually, really surprised. And I'll show you in a sec how good this is, and give you some comparables of what we use it to, and for the value of it, why I think this is actually a really decent purchase. So let's just plug this in and find out what's going on with this code first, because we need to know what's wrong with this car. Okay, right, we're all plugged in, ignition's on. The ARTI i20, really straightforward machine to use actually, not very complex. It's got a lot of functions on it. You know, you can do service resets, you can do some injection programming on this. It's got the general maintenance for like DPFs, general diagnosis. For an entry-level machine, this is actually really decent. So let's just give us a check on this. So, straightforward enough, just diagnose, HYUNDAI. It will search for the serial VIN number straight away. There we go, right, 16 pin, connect to the system. and let's try automatically search, see if it finds it. Now I've had a few machines usually on this sort of Kias and Hyundais, I very rarely find them, but no, this one's found it straight away. It's a 1.2 MPI model. Press OK. And then we've got two options there now. We've got a system selection and health report. So a health report really is just basically just getting a full scan of all the systems on the car. So engine management, BSI unit, ABS system, SRS, it'll go through the whole lot. And whereas system selection will let you select individual type of module, whatever you want. So for instance, you want to scan the engine management system, if you just want to scan the ABS, you can just be more specific. I mean, we'll just do a general health report first just to show you. That's obviously scanning all the systems on the car. So it's done the health search, we've gone straight into engine management, and we've found straight away camshaft position timing over advanced system performance, bank 1. So if you can quite read that there, it's P0014. Now, camshaft sensor fault like this, to be honest with you, is probably unlikely just to be the camshaft sensor. That doesn't mean they don't go faulty, but the most likely culprit on this is there's probably an issue with the timing chain. They are quite common on the 1.2 Hyundai Kia engines they use, where timing chains do move, basically stretch slightly. They go out of parameters and it basically just throws the engine management light on constantly. They usually stuff for them when they get really bad with performance issues of starting, or they just become very sluggish and don't drive very well. So we'll go test drive this in a minute and see if the performance is up to scratch, but it's highly likely that we're going to have to put timing chain on this, just because I've come across it so many times. It's really common, and when you get that code up, yes, it could be a faulty cam sensor. We will buy one anyway for the sake of just try it beforehand, but the chance of it, to be honest with you, are very, very slim. The proof will be in the pudding when we drive this. You'll be able to tell straight away if there's an issue with the chain, if it's not performing right. So quick demo of that machine. Like I said, it's really clear and easy to use. I really like it, to be honest with you. I mean, to give you some comparables, we use an Autel machine. We use like the Max Diag, which is like an entry-level machine for garages. It's about 400 or 500 quid to buy, and it's a very, very good machine. Don't get me wrong, it's a little bit more heavier than this, and it's got probably a little bit more makes and models on it you can use, but not really anything that actually would, you ever come across. The main sort of bread and butter stuff you're working on, this has got it covered. The Autel machines actually have to pay for subscriptions every year. This has got free subscriptions on it, which is amazing. The Autel machine, it's got a slightly bigger screen, but I mean, perfectly good that screen for the value of what this machine is. There isn't really, when you compare the two, there's not a lot in it, to be fair, as in the quality of the product, the way it runs, and what it offers you. Pretty much everything I put this on, my Autel machine would do as well, and everything I've tried this machine on in the last week or two, servicing, DPF regens and all that, it's worked perfectly, no issues, no faults. It's done exactly what it says. It even updated itself without any issues. It's a little cracking machine. But the killer for this, really, why this machine is on my radar as a real good buy at the moment, and why I'm so glad I've actually got this, is it's actually 140 quid. Well, just under 140 quid at the moment. I mean, the Autel machine we bought the other year was 500 quid, and this isn't doing anything less than that machine's doing for a fraction of the price. So if you guys are interested in getting a diagnostic machine, particularly something that's sort of entry level, that's going to do all your servicing, maintenance, and you can do DPF regens, maybe you're a mobile mechanic and you just want to get something useful that's just going to, without spending thousands on one of these snap-on machines, etc., which, just to be honest with you, just aren't worth the money anymore. That is a cracking little machine to get yourself going with, because there's nothing really I've come across that it hasn't managed to deal with, and it's always updating as well. So even if the next thing comes on board, you're going to get free updates. I mean, some machines you can spend hundreds of pounds updating them every year. So a cracking buy. Check out the link in the description below. Really impressed with this. So if you need a machine, check out that link, get yourself on there. Less than 140 quid, absolute bargain. Right, so we need to go and drive this car and see what's going on with it. I'll just quickly show you the back of it before we go for a test drive. Horrible mould everywhere, but seats are good. We're not ripped or anything like that. A good valet solved that problem. Oh, bit of ice. Boot dry. Have we got a spare in it? We have. Space saver, typical, and a jack. That's a quick pop of the bonnet. Bit of a clean up. Oh, that put battery on it as well. Mentioned that. Battery on it was absolutely toast, so I've stuck a brand new battery on it. They're not particularly expensive for these, the batteries. So it's put a nice new acid battery on. that'll just outlive the car, to be honest. Nothing really too much going on under here. Like I said, we've already had this gearbox off before because we put clutch in it. But it's pretty straight under there. Nothing a good clean would sort out. And like I said, we just need to find out now what's going on with that engine. Right, let's rig this up and go for a test drive. Right, we're all rigged up. It starts every time, so I suspect that if there was an issue with this timing chain, it's probably only just started to go wrong and stretch. Everyone only has to stretch ever so slightly the chains on these out of parameters. You just get an engine management light on, and then you'll start getting issues with the way it drives. So let's go and have a proper drive of it, and then we can work out if we've got a major issue here or not. Right, so pulling off and everything, it seems alright. It's not missing or anything like that. We've not really got any issues there. Setting off now, put my foot down. I mean, obviously this is a 1.2. I know it's not got a lot of power, but you can just feel there's something not quite right. It's not missing or anything. It's just, I don't know, it's just really gutless. And it's just not revving up as much as it should. It feels as though it's restricting itself, and you can't really, I mean, not saying I'm going to red line something like this, but you should be able to go for the rev band, and it just isn't doing that. It's just very, very flat. I mean, the first few thousand revs, it's fine. You put your foot down, you just get a big horrible induction noise, and nothing really happens. And there's definitely something amiss here, which is really, I think, is down to that timing chain. I think we're going to have to put a chain on this, because this is showing all the signs of a stretched timing chain. I mean, it's just, we're not going anywhere, and it's doesn't want to rev past 5,000 RPM, which is not good. I mean, yeah, we're definitely going to need to put a chain on this, I think. It's just not right, and it's starting to get little bits of flat spots. So that's a given. We're going to have to put a chain on it. But other than that, so far, I've not got any noises of turning the wheels or any creaks or anything like that. I've not got any brake issues. I mean, the brake's going to want cleaning up. It's been stuck for a while, but we're not putting a foot on the brake and it's juddering around like that, or we're getting horrible noises from the discs and the pads. They seem all right, so I think we'll get away with just a bit of maintenance there. I'm not too concerned about the rest of the car. The only two issues we need to really address is that paint on the back's horrendous. We need to try and find a way around that, and we need to obviously get a chain on it. Now, a chain kit for one of these, I think the chain kits are about 150 quid, something like that, for the full kit you need. And then it's a good few hours work, but then it'd be right, you know what I mean? It'd be 100%. Like I said, you can check it before you take it apart anyway, because you said you can just check the timing when you take the covers off and see if it's stretched. You can probably just tell by feeling it, moving the chain. It'll probably have loads of slack in it, so we can pretty much diagnose it before we even start it, to be fair. So we need to get that addressed. The paint side of it, well, that's a tricky one. I need to find a tailgate in colour. Got to find a tailgate in colour, because trying to get one painted, because you've got to take the glass out to get it properly, it's going to be a nightmare, and I don't want to go down that route, if I'm honest with you. I'd rather just get a tailgate, the best one I can find in white, even if I have to pay a premium for it, bolt it on, and then just focus on getting the roof painted. So that's what we need to do. We need to get ourselves online, find a tailgate, get this timing chain kit ordered, and then from there we can start to get a car. We can start to get this car back together and getting looking well again. I mean, obviously we're going to have to go underneath it and get on the ramp. We'll probably do that in a part 2, because this car's going to be with us for probably a couple of episodes. But yeah, I mean, I'm happy with it, really. I mean, for what, less than 500 quid? I mean, probably at about 500 quid at the moment with the clutch kit we bought. We're not really spent a great deal of money so far. What's something like this worth? I mean, if we can get it back right, you know, paint the roof, get a tailgate, half looking well, get it all buffed up, solve the timing chain issue, and get it running well, service it, etc., and get it a 12-month ticket on it, and get it ready for retail, even with 120,000 miles on it, which I know is high for a 14 plate. We're easily going to be obtained somewhere in the region of $24.95 for this for a retail car. It's a 14 plate Hyundai. Like I say, when we've done that work, it should be a bonnet car, should be right for someone. Like I say, we've had a new clutch in it as well. So, you know, everything's been done. The chain's been done, the clutch has been done. Everything that a customer could want done on their car, theoretically would have been done. So we can't really do much more really. But even with all the jobs we need to do on it, and spending a little bit more on top, because we're obviously going to find other things along the way, I think we can easily kick this down to less than £1,000. I really do. I don't think we're going to spend that much on it. So we'll have to see how we go from there. We'll get it in the workshop in the next video and see where we got ordering the bits up. So thanks for watching this one, guys. Check out the next video. Please check out my other videos as well. And also, please like and subscribe to the channel. It helps me out immensely. I'll see you all in the next video.